years ago, when pure water was still 5 naira and when fuel scarcity was just an occasional visitor, there lived a young lady named Sarah Nwankwo. She was a proper Igbo girl, born and raised in Lagos, but her parents never let her forget her roots. Every Christmas, they packed her and her siblings into their Camry and exported them to the village, where she was forced to greet uncles she had never met before and run errands for aunties who claimed they changed her diaper once in 2003. Now, Sarah was smart, beautiful, and had the kind of common sense that Lagos life forces into you. She had managed to dodge all her mother's matchmaking attempts for years, always using the classic "I am focusing on my career" excuse. But unknown to her, the biggest challenge of her life was approaching fast, like an Okada rider with no brakes. It all started on a random Sunday afternoon. Sarah was sitting in the sitting room, scrolling through her phone, when her father, Chief Nwankwo, called for a family meeting. Now, in a Nigeria home, when they call a family meeting, it's either someone is about to be brought to the center table of discussion or your destiny is about to be rearranged without your consent. Her mother, her younger brother Emeka, and her father sitting with a look of serious determination. She frowned and asked what happened. Did anyone die? My daughter, nobody will die in Jesus' name. Amen. Just that it is time, her mother replied. Sarah's confusion increased. Time for what? She asked. Her father grinned. To marry a rich man, of course. Sarah almost choked on her own saliva. Excuse me? Her father leaned forward, his voice smooth like a politician promising good roles. Sarah, you are a beautiful girl. You are 26 now, and as they say, a flower does not wait for the sun to set before it blooms. Sarah raised an eyebrow. Who said that, Daddy? Her mother waved the question away. My dear, we have already found the perfect man for you. Sarah's spirit left her body for a moment. A man? Without my consent? Emeka, who had been eating chin-chin in the corner, finally spoke. Mommy, please, it should be someone that has steady light in his house. I am tired of this NEPA wahala. Sarah shot him a glare, and of course, the next thing that followed was, my friend, shut up that your mouth. Her father brought out his phone, and with the confidence of someone about to introduce a presidential candidate, he showed Sarah a picture. This, he said, is ODOGWU. Sarah squinted at the picture. The man in the photo was ridiculously handsome, the kind of fine that will make Lagos girls forget their home training. He was wearing a crisp white abada, sitting on the hood of a shiny Range Rover, looking like a real ODOGWU Pararan. Who is he? Sarah asked suspiciously. Her father smiled before replying. A billionaire businessman. Sarah frowned and then she asked again, what kind of business? Her mother answered, imports and exports. Sarah sighed. Import and export of what? Her parents exchanged glances. Of many things, her father finally said. Sarah's instincts immediately started vibrating like an Android phone on low battery. Something wasn't adding up. But before she could protest, her mother held her hand dramatically. Sarah, my dear, do this for the family. This is not just marriage. This is investment. Sarah wanted to argue, but she knew that if her parents had made up their minds, there was no point fighting destiny. She agreed to meet ODOGWU, not because she was interested, but because she was curious. And like they say, curiosity is the beginning of wisdom, but it can also be the beginning of problems. The first date was at an expensive restaurant in Victoria Island. The kind where they serve small food on a big plate and then you will pay an amount that will be enough to cover breakfast, lunch and dinner for 1 month if you're to cook by yourself. ODOGWU Uchenna dressed like his name. He showed up looking like money, a nice attire, expensive wristwatch and a perfume that smelt like generational wealth. "Good evening, my dear," he said in a deep voice, smiling in a way that made Sarah's brain malfunction for 2 seconds. She quickly recovered and replied, "Good evening, sir." They sat down and the waiter brought their food. As they ate, she noticed something strange. He didn't touch his food. "You are not eating?" she asked. He smiled. "I prefer to watch people eat." Sarah's village instincts immediately started ringing alarm bells, but she ignored them. Maybe rich people had weird habits. Then as she was sipping her drink, ODOGWU casually asked, "Have you ever heard of people disappearing?" Sarah choked. "Excuse me?" Uchenna chuckled. "Never mind, let's talk about you." Sarah's instincts screamed run, but she stayed. Maybe she was overthinking things. A month later, he proposed. It was just too fast. Sarah had barely finished getting to know him when he pulled out a massive diamond ring. Her parents were overjoyed. Her father almost threw a Thanksgiving service, but Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. Uchenna never talked about his past. His house was too quiet. Every time she asked about his past or previous relationships, he would smile and say he broke up with his exes because they traveled. Then one evening, she did something that changed everything. Sarah was supposed to meet Uchenna for dinner at his mansion, but she arrived early by accident. The gate was opened, so she walked in. The house was quiet. I mean, too quiet. He called out to Uchenna, but there was no response. Then she saw one tiny room open. That was so unusual because Uchenna saw that room as his life and he never left that door opened. Only God can tell what happened on that day. Sarah felt cold, a sensation that one usually feels when in an environment dominated by dark powers. She brought out her phone and was about to dial Uchenna's number when she heard a tiny voice to enter the room. She obeyed, and what she saw made her freeze in horror. The room was filled with different calabashes with different charm, and then pictures placed on them. Worst of it all the pictures were ladies. Sarah's soul almost thought she was dreaming. Then she heard the voice behind her. "You weren't supposed to see this," Uchenna said softly. Her legs wanted to move, but fear had turned them into stone. Her heart was pounding like a generator whose owner had refused to service. Uchenna stood there smiling with the confidence of someone who just won Baba Ijebu, but Sarah wasn't fooled. She took a slow step backward, laughing nervously. "Wow, dear. This is a very interesting collection." Uchenna smiled. "Do you like them?" She swallowed before answering. Yes. They are very unique. I mean, who wouldn't want a house full of calabashes and women's pictures staring at them in the dark? Uchenna chuckled. "You know, not everyone understands my hobby." Sarah's village instinct screamed run, but her Lagos brain knew better. If she runs immediately, he might react. She had to strategize. She needed an excuse, a distraction, something that would make him look away long enough for her to find the exit. Then, like divine intervention, an idea struck her. Before she could protest, Uchenna moved past her and pressed a button on the wall. A section of the floor started moving. Sarah almost screamed, but she bit her lip. She had watched enough Nollywood movies to know that when rich men start pressing buttons in their house, Wahala was about to unfold. Slowly, Uchenna gestured. Come, my dear, let's go to my inner chamber. Sarah forced out a laugh. Uche. This is how they start. This is how women in movies enter somewhere and never comes out. I am not understanding this relationship again, no. Uchenna smiled. But you trust me, don't you? Sarah hesitated. Trust? Oloro, take control. Her brain was in overdrive. Should she pretend to faint? No, that wouldn't work. What if he has oxygen masks prepared for such situations? Should she scream? No. This is Lagos. People would just assume it was couples drama and mind their business. Then the idea struck her again. Immediately, she clutched her stomach dramatically. No, Uche, my stomach. It has turned against me. I need to make use of the restroom now. His eyes narrowed. Toilet? Yes, urgently. If you don't let me go there right now, this your expensive tiled floor will bear witness. Now, there are two things Nigerian men fear the most. Number one, their mother slap. And number two, a woman disgracing them in public, or in this case, their house. So reluctantly, he pointed. The restroom is down the hall. Sarah nodded, clutching her belly like someone about to give birth. Thank you. Let me just handle my business. She backed away, forcing a pained expression. But the moment she turned the corner, she ran like her life depended on it. Because it did. She sprinted down the hallway, searching for the exit. Her heart was hammering. Bim, bim. She reached a door and yanked it open, expecting to find freedom. Instead, she found a man tied to a chair. Sarah blinked. Hey! The man blinked at her. Sister, who are you? Sarah gasped. Who are you? The man squinted. Are you one of his new victims? Sarah almost fainted. Victim? You mean? The man nodded frantically. Sister, he kidnaps women, then he turns them into money-making machines in that room. I was his driver, but I found out his secret, so he locked me here. Sarah's mouth fell open. Her spirit officially packed his bags and left her body. Meanwhile, back in the main room, Uchenna frowned. Sarah had been gone for so long, something wasn't right. Slowly, he walked towards the hallway, his eyes narrowing as he heard muffled voices. Then suddenly, bang! The sound of a door slamming echoed through the house. Sarah had burst out of the room, dragging the tied-up driver behind her, screaming, Jesus, take the wheel. Uchenna's eyes went wide. You saw him? He asked, but Sarah didn't respond. She was too busy running for her life. They both bolted for the front door. Sarah and the driver. Her brain was racing. She had only one option, which is to leave there alive. The man too was determined to escape. They ran like chariots. Uche, who was chasing after them, suddenly stood, watching them with an unreadable expression. You can run, my dear, but you can't hide. Sarah and the driver were sweating so much because they could see clearly the thin line between life and death. She wanted to believe she was dreaming because how could it be explained that she walked into the pit of death with her own legs? A few weeks later, she was just a simple Nigerian girl with big dreams of making it in life. Now she was speeding down with a man who she hasn't met before, all because of a marriage her parents were forcing her into. This is not my portion, she whispered to herself. They stood in a safe place, catching their breaths. The driver beside her, slightly tired, cleared his throat. So what's the plan? He asked. Sarah turned to glare at him. Plan? Plan K. Do I look like a special agent? I am just running to survive, please. The driver blinked. Sis, are we just going to keep running blindly? Sarah sighed. Sincerely, they have spent the last 10 minutes running to nowhere in particular. She had escaped, yes, but escaped to where? If she goes home, she'll be leading Uchenna straight to her front door. If she goes to the police, they will likely say, Madam, are you sure you're not hallucinating? Do you have evidence? Where is our transport fare? Write statements and the likes. She groaned. See my life outside, all because of a man. The driver looked at her curiously. Wait, are you crying? She ignored him and wailed. Why did I even say yes to this man? What kind of wealth do I want to enjoy in Calabash? The driver sighed. My dear, you fell for the packaging. Sarah sucked her teeth. I fell big time. Wait, that's how my chapter would have ended. The driver winced. Well, at least let's thank God we escaped. If not, Sarah rolled her eyes. My brother, I was almost in one of those calabashes. Do you know I was this close to vomiting money in one corner of his house, and my parents would have eaten a huge chunk from it, and so all they'll be saying to the person who got me harmed will never work because they'll be taken care of from the proceeds of the money their daughter will be vomiting. The driver shuddered. You have a point, but in all we thank God. Sarah got uncomfortable and said, We need to hide. Where can we go? The driver thought for a moment. I know a place, but Sarah side-eyed him. But what? The driver scratched his head. It's not a conducive place. Sarah sighed. Oga, is it conducive we are talking about here or safety? Please take me there. 15 minutes later, they pulled into a street deep inside Mushi. It was the kind of place where if you weren't careful, your car tires would be removed while you were still inside. A very rugged community. Sarah eyed the environment warily and then she asked, Are you sure this place is safe? Nobody is looking for anyone here. We mind our businesses in this area. You can hide here forever if you want, the driver responded. Sarah gave him a side eye. Forever, Ke? No, I am not running away from one problem just to enter another. The driver grinned. Don't worry. My uncle owns this place. He is harmless. Sarah sighed and followed him into a dingy-looking compound where an ancient man was seated outside chewing kola nuts like his pension depended on it. The old man looked up lazily. Who be these? The driver smiled. Uncle Wale. I bring you a refugee. Uncle Wale squinted at Sarah. She get money? Sarah gasped. What kind of question is this again? Uncle Wale cackled. If you no get money, how you take jam my nephew? You don't enter wahala with rich people? Sarah hesitated. Oga sir, it is complicated. Uncle Wale grinned. Complicated how? You thief money? You do wire fraud? Abi you don't slap one big man pikin? Sarah sighed. Uncle, it is worse. I almost became a landlady in a calabash. Uncle Wallace's chewing slowed. He looked at his nephew. Is she high? The driver sighed. Uncle, she's telling the truth, oh. He told his uncle the whole story, and then Uncle Wallace stuck his teeth. This young guy and the yeye wahala. Back in my days, we were content and we were never desperate for wealth. And funny enough, we all came empty and we returned empty to wherever we are going to. Or have you seen someone buried with cars on his properties before? Sarah and the driver shook their heads vigorously. Well, I thank God for your lives. If God wasn't on your side, you both would probably be standing awaiting your judgment. He took them in. Sarah exhaled in relief, but as she sat down to catch her breath, her phone vibrated. She hesitated before checking the message. It was from an unknown number. The message read, I know you. You can run, but you can't hide. See you soon, my dear. She dropped the phone like it was on fire. The driver frowned. What's wrong? He asked. Sarah stood up suddenly. We need to do something. The driver blinked. Now? What? But we just got here. Sarah pointed at her phone. Her eyes widened. He knows we are here. Uncle Wale, who had just sat down, groaned. Who is this person, Seth? Is he James Bond? Sarah, who was pacing around the house, answered, Uncle, I don't know, but I know one thing for sure. His end has come. She knew she had to be smart and quick. It was either her life or his. She remembered her friend Tolu, who worked as a private investigator. She quickly reached for her phone, texting Tolu in a panic. Help me, Tolu. I am trapped. Uchenna is crazy. I found pictures of lady on calabashes in a dark tiny room. I am afraid, but his money isn't pure, and now he wants me to go for it. Tolu, Sarah's best friend and secret hero, was the one to save the day. She had a special talent for showing up at the right time, whether it was with a well-timed rescue or with the cheapest jollof rice when Sarah was hungry and broke. She wasn't just a good friend, she was also a hacker. In fact, her ability to break into any system was almost legendary. She had once hacked into her cousin's account just to know those in her DM. But today, she wasn't messing around. She would be tracking Uchenna's movements and she had all the intel she needed. Sarah, just hold on wherever you are. I've got everything under control, she said. Minutes later, she arrived busting through Uchenna's mansion with a group of officers. As the officers burst into his room, they quickly apprehended him. He was still walking around like everything was fine. They grabbed him, and as they were about to take him away, he shot Tolu a cold, calculating look. You think you have won, he said with a sneer. I am not just rich. I have the power to do whatever I want. Tolu caught Sarah immediately that Uche had been arrested. It was only then her breathing returned to normal. As they got to the station, one of the officers asked, What's it with the calabashes in your house, man? Uchenna smirked. Oh, those? Those are my investments. The officer raised an eyebrow. What are you talking about? Uchenna leaned in, his face twisted, and he repeated, It is my investments, or is there any other way to describe investments? The officer smiled and said to him, You have messed with the wrong officer. There is no amount of money that will make you escape the law. He tortured him, and our dear investor raised his hand, saying he was ready to confess. Years ago, he began, I was humiliated by ladies because I was poor. They will leave me that have prospects to people who clearly are into shady businesses, people who have no respect for them in every sense of the word, just giving them money in bundles. And I vowed to tear my garment of home training and join the reigning gang. I met a native doctor who did it for me and told me as long as I keep sacrificing girls that my money will keep on getting longer. The content in the calabashes is a mixture of their remains and charms so that their spirits won't fight me. The charm makes their relations never to complain. It makes them never to look for them. They live as if nothing has happened. The officers were shocked. They have heard stories before, but this particular confession is shocking and at the same time scary. They got the native daughter arrested, and with the court's order, they bulldozed his shrine, and they were both sentenced to life imprisonment. Sarah's parents were stunned. Uchena's entire fortune, the vast empire he built, had been based on dark dealings. His ODOGWU title came with wasting lives. Their reaction about their daughter's near-death experience was a mixture of shock, guilt, and disbelief. Her mother, who had been so eager to see Sarah marry a rich man, felt her heart sink. Her father was equally devastated. "We wanted the best for you, but this was not the best, Sarah. Rich men can sometimes hide the worst kind of secrets." He had a tendency to be dramatic, but this time his words had a lot of weight. Sarah's mom then pulled her into a tight hug, sobbing, "I am so sorry, my dear daughter. We almost led you into the hands of a monster, all because of money." Sarah was angry, but then she understood she had her own portion of the blame. She then whispered to her parents, "It wasn't just you. I got carried away too. I thought that because he was rich, everything would be okay, but not everything that glitters is gold. My experience is a harsh lesson for everyone, especially for other parents who sometimes pressure their children into relationships with rich men, thinking that wealth equals happiness. Parents had to stop thinking that marrying someone wealthy will automatically bring happiness. They need to realize that a person's character matters more than their bank balance. Riches could fade away, but character lasts forever. We are all blinded by wealth, forgetting that just because someone has money doesn't mean they have a good heart. In fact, it could mean the opposite. They cried and also thanked God for quick intervention. The next day, as Sarah sat with her parents, they had a long conversation about trust, family, and values. It wasn't going to be easy, but she knew she could start anew. She had survived a harrowing experience, and now more than ever, she was determined to live her life on her own terms, which her parents accepted with no arguments. Her escape from Uchenna wasn't just about running away from danger. It was about finding the strength to live freely, a lesson she will carry with her for the rest of her life. And with that, her story continued. Her name was changed from Sarah to the lady who escaped being used for money by her boyfriend. Hey, African Tales by Karma Tribe, how are you all doing? For me, I am doing just fine. I know there is a wave of ODOGWU Pararan in the air. A lot of pressure to get married to a rich man. I am not in any way against marrying someone that is rich. In fact, I love it because 99% of marital issues is as a result of money palaver. But then, in the quest of looking for an ODOGWU, don't lose your life. Find out what the person is doing. Please, don't just take business as an answer. Find out what the person is doing. Find out the kind of business. Know the details. If it's into import and export, find out exactly what is exporting or importing. No person, I repeat, nobody who earns legitimately will just be spending in millions on irrelevant things. The signs will always be there. Be watchful and then take immediate actions by fleeing when you find out something ungodly. I know the story will resonate with someone. And on this note, I am saying, if you have not given this story a thumbs up, what are you waiting for? If you have not subscribed to this channel, please do. And let me read your comments in the comment section. Until I bring another exciting story your way, it is a goodbye from here. And God bless you.